Welcome to Flair for Flows. My name is Aliona and you're watching a talk show where we discuss everything but relationships. With few exceptions, human beings want to be emotionally and physically close to each other. Life seems better shared. And when finally you think that you have found that perfect one, it appears that there is at least 20 kg of baggage that comes along with them. And that's absolutely fine, as relationship is a teamwork to help caring each other. But there are a few types of relationships that you have just to avoid. And I'm delighted to introduce my today's guest, relationship coach, Jana Morton. Jana, such a pleasure to have this conversation with you today. How are you doing?
Aliona, thank you so much for inviting me over to your wonderful talk show. It's
my pleasure
to be here.
Likewise. So I know already what's your background, but please share with the audience what's your area of expertise.
So I'm a relationship coach. And besides helping couples navigate through the difficulties in their relationships, I also help singles get to the core of why they are still single. But honestly, where my heart really is helping people find their voice and their lost sense of self-worth and their identities inside the narcissistic abuse.
Oh my goodness, that's so important because that's such a hot topic nowadays. Because what's really happening when we are falling for someone, we don't care really how the relationship flows and we don't see what's the truth underlying. But at some point, after some time, it's happening that we see that this person is just all about themselves. They only looking for attention, they seeking for affirmation, and we are like, oh my God, they are actually dating a narcissist. But I would like to start our discussion with the very beginning, because there is a big confusion. There is, who is narcissist, what is narcissism, and what is narcissistic personality disorder, because it's two different things. The first one goes to the personality type, the second one is actually a disease. So how we can understand what is what and how to differentiate?
That's an excellent question. So in today's world, the word, oh, he's so narcissistic and she's such a narcissist, we say it very lightly, but it's important to say that most of us humans have narcissistic tendencies from time to time.
Oh my God, really?
You may have some, I may have some.
Oh wow.
That makes us a human. So sometimes we have the need to be acknowledged. Sometimes our ego is way bigger than our self-reflection.
I see.
Sometimes we lie, we cheat. So that makes us humans and not narcissists, right? So it's simply said, it's an observation of some kind of behavior,
okay,
right? But what is the biggest difference between someone acting narcissistic and the actual narcissistic personality disorder is when these particular traits of behaviors are happening quite frequently as a pattern.
Okay.
So that may signal a big red flag that you might be dealing with someone that is actually ill.
Okay, so is it like the main red flags, and how overall, for us to understand that we start to date the narcissist and to escape before it becomes too dangerous? Because to be honest, in every relationship, when you start, even when you come to work, to a new place, to making new friends and new relationships, you try at the very beginning to project yourself a little bit better than you are. And that's very human, that's very normal. But again, where is this border that's the red signals that we cannot avoid? We have to pay attention.
So it varies from person to person. Okay, and here's where it becomes tricky. At the beginning of the relationship with someone with actual narcissistic personality disorder, it's very hard to say, right,
exactly,
who you are
yes.
dealing with, because they tend to present themselves in the best light possible. Okay?
Absolutely.
They mirror who you are, what you do, what your interests are, and they are becoming exactly that person. And why they do that? Because they want you to madly fall in love with them. Because once they have you completely hooked, they start to devalue you. And when this starts, and you are still in so much love and admiration for them, it's much harder for you to see the person for who he or she really is. And it's harder for you to leave.
All right. Anything else? Like what can be the signal? You said it's repetitive patterns. So after what time we can start to see this pattern happening and repeating again and again?
So sometimes it's very difficult because this love bombing phase that the narcissist start with, it's very seductive. You feel so special. You feel so seen and heard. You feel like, wow, God answered all my prayers. I'm finally meeting the one. But the thing is, there are always red flags. It's just in this first phase, you have this ideal picture of that person and how you want your life to look like with this particular person. So you tend to minimize those red flags.
Yes.
But they're always there. And one thing how to find out about the person you are dealing with is say no or don't go exactly what they want and see how they react.
Yeah, what's happening? What's happening then? So if you're like, because they know that they seduce you in a way that you're listening to them, you're doing what they want, you're just putting them on the pedestal, like you're always number one, and then suddenly you're trying to break the circle and saying no. What's happening with the narcissist at that moment?
So we live in Dubai, very bling bling, fancy world,
yes.
right? And you may meet someone that ticks all the boxes. You feel like on cloud nine.
And you're like, finally, that's the
finally,
one. Yes.
That's the one. And he says, let's go for a weekend to Maldives. A dream, right?
Amazing. You just start immediately packing.
Yeah, and you're like, wow, of course, I want to go. But then maybe you are busy with work or you have other obligations, and he picks a date and you say, I cannot come.
Okay, on this particular date, okay.
And so he will be, oh no, but like move things around. I mean, I'm taking you to Maldives.
Okay.
So it's not going smoothly, right? A person that it's in a mutual relationship with you would discuss with you first about your availability. Is this okay with you?
Yes, good day, suitable, like yes, which hotel you want to choose, like all the details matters. Like unless there can be like a surprise in a way that's, but still I think the person would know what's the preferable dates and
the thing is
conditions,
that at the first love bombing phase, you are literally getting bombarded with grand gestures, gifts, presents, attention, all these
million
messages.
roses.
Million roses, text message in the morning, good morning, love, thinking about you, have a good day. At night, it's sleep well, have a sweet dreams, and many messages throughout the day. And if you train them that you respond immediately, and then you may have busy day, okay, and then you don't respond immediately, they start blaming you for, oh, so you are losing attraction towards me? Like, what's happening? I'm not important to you anymore?
Oh, okay.
So this is another red flag, which a healthy person knows that you are busy. So you may take some time to answer a message, right? It doesn't have to happen immediately. But someone with really fragile ego, as most narcissists are, will not take it as lightly and will start to blame you and start to look for things that they can point out at you, but you are doing this to me. So they are in a way training you, manipulating you to do exactly what they want.
Okay, but if you are still healthy, with healthy minds, and you starting to pick up these red signals, why the majority of people do not leave this relationship?
That's a great question. When you meet this charming woman or man, they help you build a dream around how they present themselves, how the life with them could look like. and they get you hooked onto such an amazing vision. Then when the discarding phase and diminishing phase starts happening, when they put you down from the pedestal, you don't want to believe it. You are still so strongly pulled to that first phase where they promised you the world, right? And you want it back. And because most of us are good people, self-reflective people, so when they start to blame you, disrespect you, you tend to look at, what am I doing wrong?
Oh my goodness. So basically you think it's your fault, but it's not the partner's one. Oh my God. And so yes, overall, what can be else, like what's the outcome for the other party to be in the narcissistic relationship? Like, yes, the first sign that we start to blame ourselves, what else can happen? Why it's so dangerous to be in such relationship?
So over time, if you are in a narcissistic relationship with emotional abuser, because that's what's happening, it's the subtle emotional abusement they are applying on you, right? And it starts very subtle. So first you look for the fault in yourself. How can I make this better? How can I be better? Because narcissists will never admit that there's something wrong with them. It's always you, right? So you will be blamed for everything. So you start to question yourself. And with all the gaslighting that they apply, you start to doubt your own feeling, your own perception, because you are constantly questioned.
So you start to feel that basically you're losing your mind.
At some point, exactly, you start losing your mind, and you start thinking that you are crazy, that there is really something wrong with you, and you need to go get help. And if you share that with your partner, then he will say, of course, like, go get help. It's you, it's not me. And then I see clients that come to me that seek various types of help. First, they go to doctors because they are experiencing this crazy fatigue. They're constantly tired. Like the life inside of them, it's kind of being drained, and they look for medical help.
Okay.
And then usually find out that everything is right. Blood test results, everything came right.
And most probably they just prescribe these antidepressants in this case.
So they would have to go to psychiatrist for that. But usually people seek for answers. Maybe I'm lacking some vitamins, minerals.
Okay.
So then they find out that everything is actually okay, but they are still tired. They are still feeling like they are mildly depressed.
And still they don't understand that that's the reflection of their partner? Like that's his fault?
They don't understand that they are inside of this toxic, abusive relationship. So until they get to a therapist or a coach that has experience with this particular emotional abuse, because it is very subtle. Often these people cannot even put their finger on what's actually happening. If you ask them, so what is it? They tend to complain maybe about their partners, but if you really ask them, so what is it? They cannot really put their finger on it exactly. It's how subtle the emotional abuse is. Because you are constantly devalued, diminished.
Yeah.
You feel like you need to walk on eggshells not to say something that can trigger your partner. You never feel really safe or seen or heard. Your needs don't matter. It's all about the other person, right? But here's the thing, as hard as this all is, there is a way how we are unconsciously training these people to be the way
so
they
it's
are
still
with
our
us.
fault in a way.
I wouldn't say it's our fault. We are a good, compassionate, kind people, and when we enter a relationship with someone charming, we give them our best. And with a healthy person on the other side, it's a beautiful mutual relationship where you both care for each other. You care for the relationship. So you work towards mutual, healthy, loving, understanding relationship, right? But with a narcissist, since they see themselves as perfect, there's never anything wrong with them. It's all you. And if you don't have the ability to speak up about what you are seeing and feeling, then in a way you are training them that it's okay, the way they treat you.
And the cycle keeps repeating.
And the cycle keeps repeating.
Yeah, and I believe it's extremely complicated by your own to live that cycle, because what I know, I've heard about the narcissistic relationship, and I can see around that because this pattern of the bad things and abuse keep happening, but at some moments, like maybe once a week, once a month, depending on the relationship, so there is maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes of these happy emotions. Maybe the narcissist, like he's happy, something, he's in a good mood, or like, and he give you this, 5 minutes of happiness.
Little breadcrumbs here and there.
Exactly, and you're like, oh my goodness, but I want to focus on these 5 minutes, forget about the 24/7 abuse, and just be in these 5 minutes and saying that, no, that's the person I fall in love, that's my man or my woman, and it's like I stick to that personality, I want him back as he is, so let me be even better than I am. Is that true? Is that the main reason why we can't break and leave this relationship?
So you mentioned it well, that there are these good moments. So, and in the relationship with narcissists, the highs are really high. So that's what's keeping you in. But the lows are very low. I like what Dr. Ramani said about being inside of relationship with the narcissist is like living in the environment where there are only two extreme conditions. Either is super hot and sunny, or it's a really stormy, like a hurricane kind of weather. And inside this relationship, you are constantly swinging into these two extremes. And there are these little breadcrumbs, right? Yeah. So they upset you, they put you down, you are sad, you might not speaking to them, so they start sensing the distance, so there comes the love bombing again. They want to hook you back. And because we tend to really focus on the positive rather than the negative, there is still enough positive that keeps the people inside of this relationship. But it's really important to know that the partner will never change. Because they primarily see themselves as perfect. There's nothing wrong with me, so it's all you that needs to change. So that's why
they don't accept that they're doing something wrong. They don't see it.
The thing is that they are unable to self-reflect, and they lack empathy. They are wired very differently. So they can pretend empathy. They can play as they are sympathetic, and they really see and feel how they are hurting you.
But they do not have
But
it
it's an Oscar-winning performance.
Oh my God! And then my question is, that something that they have learned? Is it like a learned behavior, or it came with the birth? Like, how narcissists become narcissists?
So this is a great question, and the answer to this is not so simple. It's a very complex topic, and narcissistic personality disorder as an illness was only diagnosed 50 years ago. Okay. So psychologists and researchers keep studying this disorder, and what they know so far is that person develops narcissistic personality disorder in a later childhood, teenage years, early adulthood. And it's usually triggered by some trauma.
Okay.
Some severe experiences in the childhood, which could be neglect, violence, or also overpraise. Like putting the child on a pedestal, praising them for the achievements and how great they are, and while the emotional world of the child is quite empty.
I see. So it's, in a way, I don't want to, like be on their side, absolutely, but it's in a way they're also protection.
It's their coping mechanism in a way. Yet, once someone starts to dig deeper, and this is an essential thing for anyone who might be even thinking that you might be in a relationship with a narcissist, it's educate yourself. Just know. Read about this personality disorder. But what often happens is these people see, oh, poor him or poor her, she had a really rough childhood. So maybe if I love him more or I show her my affection more, it will change them. They will see. So, and this is the biggest trap, because
Never changed.
your love will not save them. Your love will eventually destroy you. They will not change until they are able to see that the way they treat you is really damaging and they really want to do something about it. But in most cases, they will never even admit that there's something wrong with
There
them.
is a problem. So, oh my God, that's actually very scary, to be honest. But hypothetically, even we know that our partner is narcissist, and by some reason we still decided to stay with them. Once again, hypothetically, can narcissist be a good partner in a way?
That's a tricky question. So that brings me back to the love bombing phase and when you first meet this person. So you create some kind of dream, right? And they massaging you so well at this first love bombing phase that you just so want to believe that you finally met the one, and they will do anything for you.
Yeah.
So in this phase, you really believe that this is a great partner. I finally met the one.
And you feel great, obviously.
You feel like you are seen and heard and so cared for. And in this phase, you may think, oh wow, this is a great partner. But it's, again, just part of their strategy.
Part of their game.
Part of the game. How to really hook you onto what they would like to create in your head as a reality. Because narcissists have very fragile ego. And they need to create this fantastic world around them where they can feel superior. So they can manipulate you, put you down, because they are the boss. Okay, it's not you.
Okay.
So can they be a good partner? It's up to anyone to answer this question.
I think it's obviously a joke, but just an idea that you can just keep this phase where you feel really yourself on the pedestal of being so cared and loved and having so much attention. And once you see that this phase is changing, you're like leaving and go to another one. So, but it's obviously it's a joke. Yes.
So, but it's
somebody doing that. Don't tell me.
No, you just brought me onto a thought about if you are in unhealthy, toxic relationship, you start to see that you need to walk on eggshells. There's lots of manipulation. You feel like you are constantly being put down, and you leave this relationship unless you dig deeper into what is causing you to attract these people.
Yeah, I was just
you will end up with the
yes.
same type of person over and over again.
Yeah, so who is more likely to fall for narcissist? Or is it narcissist like who is picking up and seeing that, okay, this victim, I know she will be under my power?
They are very smart.
Okay.
So if you are someone compassionate, loving, kind, fun, yet you struggle with self-esteem and you have weak boundaries, then you are the perfect target. Because they know, unless you have firm boundaries, they can manipulate you. And they get it within first few days. Right? They know exactly who they are dealing with.
Well, I think that's a great problem that's rightly said, to set the boundaries, that we actually don't know how to do that. Like, are there any techniques, methods that you as an expert can share, or at least give us the hint where to look for and what to do and how to properly set the boundaries?
So when you start the healing process, or you start to really get to know who you are, what are your values, what do you need in a healthy, loving relationship, who are you as a person, what really matters to you? If you know this and you are firmly anchored in this is what I need and this is what I stand for, it's hard for the narcissist to cross these boundaries. But unless you are seeking for validation in the outer world, and you don't really know who you are, it's very easy for them to evaluate you as the perfect target because they know there are not much boundaries, right?
Yes.
So it's part of this bigger getting to know yourself better process.
And it's like, and can be an exercise that you just literally put the piece of paper, start writing your values, your goals, your dreams.
Of course, the best thing is to collaborate with a coach or a therapist.
All right. And
Especially,
who can be the best then in this? Because there are the variety of coaches. So especially with the problem of dealing with narcissists, who can be the best experts?
So my personal advice is, if you are seeing the pattern of attracting narcissistic people into your life, start working only with a coach that specializes in this particular area, or a therapist that knows about a narcissistic abuse.
So you mentioned that the therapist should have the personal experience dealing with narcissists. And if you don't mind me asking, did you have as well?
Good question. So I'm not really saying that they should, but it's ideal, and I can only speak from my own experience, because unless you go through it yourself, you cannot really relate to people on a much deeper level. So a little bit about my background. I grew up in a family with a highly dysfunctional dynamic, and my dad was an alcoholic. My mom was quite young to speak about what's going on, or even speak about telling us kids, this is not okay, don't take any examples from this. And we grew up in a house together with my grandmother that was highly narcissistic, which I of course didn't know, but I know now. So it's like kind of everything fall into pieces. And inside this dynamic, as a little girl, I became very sensitive to even the slightest mood swings. So I became very attentive to how everyone felt, what everyone needed. I was the peacemaker, and I would go to extents to please everyone. So there is peace at home, but there's never peace at home. And inside all of this, I developed very limited identity about who I was. And it was something like, simply no matter what I do, it's just never good enough. But I will keep trying. And with this identity, I'm just the perfect catch for narcissists, right? So now
they
knowing...
They could feel it. They could smell
they
it.
They could feel it, but I couldn't really put the finger on why is that, right? But if you are a people pleaser, you are willing to go to extent to please someone and constantly strive to be better because you have this I'm not good enough inside of you. This is what a narcissist wants. You will twist and turn into exactly what they want you, right? And it wasn't until I met my mentor and teacher, Catherine Woodward Thomas, and through her teachings, I healed my limited identity that I developed as a child, and I'm aware of who I am, and I have my boundaries, which before that, I didn't really have many because of the result of how I was raised and where I grew up. So that's why for me, it's essential to say that unless you are going through something like that yourself, you cannot really fully relate to the issues that the victims of the narcissistic abuse going through.
Yes, and that's an amazing story. I'm so glad to hear that you healed, and not just only healed, but now you also helping people to break this cycle. And can you please maybe share one of the successful story that keeps in your mind? I'm sure you have many of them, but maybe the recent one or the brightest one that you helped one of your clients to break the cycle.
Yeah, thank you for this question. So I would say that any story where the client is able to gain their voice, come back to the self-worth that they lost, come to the completely crushed self-esteem inside of this abusive dynamic, it's a big victory. And I'm still working with this client because the healing process takes a long time. But she was in a highly abusive relationship with a narcissistic man that was very successful. They have 2 children together.
So it's been years and years.
It's been 18 years
Oh
of
my God.
marriage. But this is actually very normal with a covert passive-aggressive narcissist because it's so covered. They appear so charming and loving and caring on the outside, but inside the dynamic only the wife and the closest people know, right? So it was very difficult for her when she started to speak about her issues. No one would believe her. Everyone would be saying, but look at the life you have. You have these 2 beautiful children with him. He's providing for you. So no one was able to understand, why is she complaining? Why is she so down all the time?
And I'm sure they were saying that's maybe because you have everything, you're too bored with life, that's why you're complaining.
Yeah, so the judgment of people that don't really know what these people are going through can be damaging too. But she was able to own her own self. She was able to put in place certain boundaries, and anytime the husband crosses the boundaries, she lets him know. And of course, at the beginning, because he sensed that she wants to leave, he pretended like he gets it. He wants to change, he wants to be the good guy. But what was happening is that he had an affair on the side. And eventually she found out and he left, which in a way is a great victory. Because leaving a narcissist is not an easy thing.
Yes, I see. So
right?
it's actually, yes, as you rightly said, a victory if he leaves. Yes.
In a way.
All right, that's a beautiful story. That's really amazing. And as you know, that we have every week we have a giveaway, and Jana is so generous that she decided to give to the winner not just 1 introduction session, but 3 sessions. So please be active, comment under the video, share your stories, and if you are in such relationship where you know that your partner is narcissist, just comment and you will get a chance to have the session with Jana. Thank you, Jana, so much. It's been really great discussion and so important, and I hope that people who will watch it, they will try to pick up the signals. They will start to question themselves more and start to understand who they are, and if they need to have the session with the specialist, so they will decide to do that. Thank you, Jana.
You are so welcome, Aliona. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and see you next Thursday.